hot cocoa, expensive gifts, and a lot of unresolved family drama. All of this by the open flame. Yeah, the perfect recipe for an explosion. For many of us, the holidays brings up a lot of fun childhood memories. But for a lot of other people, it can be a stressful time that comes with a lot of baggage.
Hi guys, this is Bree, your host. Welcome to You're Not Doing It Wrong, where we talk about the many troubling topics of today's millennials and discuss how to navigate your next quarter-life crisis, because we're all too busy thinking about what we should be doing and not what we want to do.
And I'm your co-host, Allie. Welcome back to Season 2. According to a poll by psychiatry.org, 1 in 3 Americans expects to be more stressed this holiday season than last year. On top of the complicated family relationships, you may be feeling the pressures of holiday shopping or the stress of hosting, traveling, and figuring out who the hell is participating in what and what time dinner is. High and sometimes unrealistic expectations for the holidays can often make things harder. For some people, this can also be a lonely time. Hello, guys. Welcome back to the podcast, Season 2. Today, we wanted to talk about home for the holidays and all of the stress that comes with that and how to cope with it.
So for me in particular, I know that this time is like a really chaotic time, mostly because there's a joke going around on like Instagram that talks about how like there are family members who are mentally ill that are undiagnosed. So around the holidays, people who are diagnosed are so much more aware of like how hectic things really are, because like now you know the triggers and you see it, you know. So for me, I feel like that's very like what is it called? Find relatability to that, because like I have mentioned, I struggle with ADHD, and that is genetic. So I know for a fact,
mental illness, babes.
I know that you know, like my mom struggles with it pretty hard, and she's not medicated, she's not diagnosed. And I think honestly, a lot of my other family members in her family probably struggle with similar issues. But so we're not going to get into that because they're going to think I'm crazy. If
that's a whole nother episode. If we,
yeah,
that's a whole nother season.
So my holidays are always insanely chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a party until somebody's crying, you know, or somebody's yelling at somebody, or you know, I don't know. There's just always something going on, and it never ends on a positive note. I won't say never, because there are moments that it has, you know, been really great, but you know, typically on a typical holiday, it really does end up in chaos in some way or form. Someone's mad at somebody and someone did something to hurt somebody's feelings. And so it's a very like sensitive time. I feel like a lot of us are just like walking on eggshells, trying not to hurt anybody's feelings, not to bring up anything sensitive, but it never fails. Whether it's a tia, whether it's my mom, whether it's somebody else, they just throw a dig, you know, and one dig turns into like everyone throwing it back and forth like a dagger. I am looking forward to the holidays as someone who lives 4.5 hours that takes sometimes 6 to 7 hours to get home. I'm looking forward to seeing my family because I love seeing my nephew, who's now 2.5 years old, which is absolutely insane. But like, I'm so excited to see him, spend holidays with him. He's really like what holds me and tethers me back home, as well as my goddaughter. Seeing the little ones, right? Like a lot of the little ones, I have 2 younger cousins as well that are still early on, like in elementary school. So they are really what motivates me to go home for the holidays a lot of the time. And I'm looking forward to that, but I know it comes with its consequences. So I'm mentally preparing. I've been mentally preparing over the last couple months about what that looks like, and also being realistic with my own expectations. And I think that's kind of like what we want to talk about today, is like hosting realistic expectations, not only for yourself, but for your family, right? Knowing that the holidays aren't going to be picture perfect. It's not going to be a Hallmark movie. It's going to be a novela. And I'm okay with that. You know, like I've accepted that. I'm okay with it. I accept that that's what comes with coming home for the holidays. So
yeah, and I think when you're younger, you don't realize like how much goes into it because you just see the other side of it.
Yeah,
like,
and it's normal to you. You're like, this is my holiday.
Yeah, like we used to go and travel to where my parents live now, where my family's from, every Christmas. I don't think every Thanksgiving, but every Christmas. And just like thinking about that now and like how much my mom used to do to make that happen. She would wrap our gifts. She would get everybody gifts. She would wrap all of our gifts. She would stuff our stockings, and then she would pack all of it into the car. And then we would take it with us on a 12-hour drive, which first of all, 3 kids, 12 hours, freaking crazy.
Tons of gifts in the car.
Yeah, we would
Plus
only
all
stop
your
like
luggage.
we would only stop like once because my dad hates to stop.
Yeah,
So-
that's crazy. 12 hours is a
That's
long
insane.
drive.
And we used to do it every single year. And she would still like decorate the house and like so I feel like when you're younger it's just like this whole thing about the magic of Christmas and the magic of the holidays.
And that's what you're expecting as a
Mhm.
child, I think, too, right? Like your expectations are very different. As an adult, I think we
It
have
gets
control
harder.
over having the realistic expectations and kind of like understanding these things and prepping for them,
Mhm.
right? As a child, you really don't know. Like you're just going in blind pretty much. So,
And it's hard to like mentally prepare because even in college it was completely different than it is now, or like when you move away, or
absolutely.
even if you like live near your family, it's still a whole beast. So we wanted to start off with kind of like feeling the need to be in control of things or like organized chaos,
Yeah.
and how sometimes you can feel you can feel like you're out of control because you're kind of at the mercy of your family.
Yeah, I think it's harder, especially for some of us who have like larger families. This Thanksgiving, we are doing Thanksgiving with my family, and we're doing it just with my immediate family. Plus, like, my siblings are now a lot older, right? The youngest of us is 22, I think.
I think she's gonna be 22 in December.
Oh my God, her birthday. Oh, wait a minute, I just remembered her birthday's
Cut
coming
that
up.
out. Monica's watching this like
Yikesies. I always like wrap her like birthday gift into the Christmas, and I know like
when is her
people-
birthday?
The 9th of December.
Oh, see, that's early. Yeah, that's hard.
but I don't usually see her until
Until
Christmas.
Christmas, yeah.
So,
That's
but
what you get for being born around the holidays, girl.
she's getting older. She's way older now, in my opinion, because
Well,
like I call her my baby sister, but I'm like, you're a whole grown ass adult.
did you see that TikTok where it's like girls be like, "Oh, my baby brother," the baby brother in question, and it's
And
like
it's like
6
10
foot
yeah.
2.
I don't have tall brothers. Well, I mean, they're taller than me. Everyone actually is taller than me. I'm the oldest
It's just
out
a
of
little.
four, and I am the smallest one. Like I stand next to them, and everyone's like. Even when we were growing up, people would be like, "Wait a minute,
Andrew's
which one of
kind
you is
right
like
there with you?"
the oldest?" And I was like, "It's me, obviously.
Mhm.
Can you not tell?" But
That's
they
funny because that's my family too. Like Samantha's the oldest, but she's the shortest,
right?
and we all kind of like go backwards in height.
You know,
We should do a study on that. I feel like there's something to that.
I don't know. I've never like, I don't know.
Back to the topic.
So, anyways, we're doing it with my immediate family this year, which is a little different. We're also doing it with partners since we're all like older and now in very, I guess, committed relationships.
What you mean, you guess?
I guess. I mean, no, but I mean, like all of us
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
To some extent. And unfortunately, already my brother's tapped out. He's deciding to work
One
for
of-
the holidays.
She has 2 brothers.
I have 2 brothers and a sister. One of my brothers has decided to tap out for Thanksgiving.
He's working. He didn't tap out. He's just not coming.
I mean, I'm going to consider it a tap out because I think having the choice and an excuse to like not go is like you're choosing that, you know? It's a choice. Not
We're gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
But anyways,
But no shade to him. You know, I'm sure he'll have a great Thanksgiving. We're going down to Colorado and we're going to have a great time. We rented an Airbnb, which will be the first time we're doing this for Thanksgiving. And it's interesting because, as I've mentioned, it's usually chaos because we usually do Thanksgiving with my extended family.
Mhm.
So it's like we're talking over 20 people in a home in the living room. Never enough seating. I mean, granted, I think we figured out making enough food now.
Mhm.
But it's just absolute chaos because everybody's bringing different things and somebody forgot to bring the cranberry sauce and so-and-so's not showing up for dinner and everybody's starving because they haven't eaten all day. Somebody stayed up all night cooking and now they're grouchy. Like, it's insane.
And then
to
like
have,
who's actually gonna help and nobody
Right.
else is
and then
helping.
you have the men of the household like literally butt fuck drunk and they're literally no help at all.
This is a PSA. If you're a guy listening to this
Yes.
with the dinner, please
I
don't
know
sit
one's
on the
saying
couch
not to
watching the
have
game.
fun. Nobody's saying, you know, but
Men
God
can be in
damn
the
it,
kitchen
if you
too.
can't help out and watch the kids
You
for a
ain't gonna
couple
eat.
hours. I know, seriously.
You ain't gonna eat. That's I was gonna say that too. Like I feel like I'm one of the ones that helps my mom not super because we don't really go all out for Thanksgiving. It's
Yeah.
never been like our preferred holiday. But you know, like if you are a guy, like yeah, help out because it's hard to be like the only girl in the kitchen or like
Yeah.
one of the only people that helps out. But we wanted to talk about like overstimulation because I remember the few holidays that we did or the few Thanksgivings that we did go and spend with like our extended family. It was a lot because there's 3 of us and we like grew up very quiet. Like we each had our own room, like, you know, so you go from
And
like,
you were never
so-
around like extended
right,
family.
right,
Like it's
'cause-
literally like a once in a blue moon type thing.
yeah. So then you go from like quiet, we're all watching TV, to like everybody's yelling and like maybe it's happy, but it's just like it's a lot. And then you throw in kids in the mix who are like
Mhm.
crying or they want to play, and then the TV's on, and you're like, I need a minute.
I need a break.
minute. I need a minute.
No, it's funny because like now when we get together, me and my siblings will end up in like one room just sitting in the quiet peace, and they're like, "What?" My mom,
Why
will,
is everyone
my
in the
mom will
room?
come into the room and be like, "Why are y'all hiding over here?" And I'm like, "Because we just needed a moment of peace and quiet." And we
And
couldn't
it's
handle
hard
it.
when you're like in somebody else's house, like if you're traveling, because for us, we traveled and we would stay with my uncle and my aunt. You don't really have like your own room or your space to go and disappear to.
You're right. Yeah.
So we would find like little pockets, like the kids would
Go
take
outside or
over.
something.
Yeah, like the kids would take over the TV room, or we would just like go outside and like they'd be like, "Go play outside if you're bored."
I said my siblings like to say, "We're going for a walk," if you know what I mean.
A walk.
If you and your cousins ever go for a walk on the holidays,
That's why.
yeah, it's overstimulation. And overstimulation can be more than just the noise, right? Like 20 plus people in a room is already a lot. Everyone's talking, but it can just be also oversensitivity because, like I said, I just know that we're always walking on eggshells because somebody, like my mom, sometimes she would start cooking the damn turkey at like midnight.
On like the day before?
Yeah.
Oh my
And she
God.
would stay up from midnight. And this is how I know she has undiagnosed ADHD, right? Because
insane.
she would start baking and cooking at like midnight and just keep on going all the way through morning. And then oddly enough, a couple years ago, she just started with this old tradition of hers that she was like, we're going to have our own Thanksgiving lunch. Okay. And I'm going to invite your dad's dad, my grandfather, and he's going to come have Thanksgiving lunch with us. And then we're going to do Thanksgiving dinner with my family. This has never happened. It never happened as
at that point.
okay, exactly. No, but lunch wasn't until like whenever the fuck my grandfather showed up, right? So
It's like
lunch could
5
be
p.m.
easily 12 o'clock or 3:30.
Mhm.
And so during all this time, there was no breakfast, and you couldn't make breakfast because the stove in the kitchen
Yeah, do you guys eat
was
breakfast?
complete. So for many years, we always had breakfast, and then all of a sudden, like, she came up with this tradition so nobody could eat between this breakfast and now lunch because the food had to be ready by lunch now,
Mhm.
right? And I had a complete blowout with my mom one year because we're not very close to my grandfather on my dad's side. Either grandfather at
Did you
this
see
point.
that Monica? Sorry,
Yeah.
Monica reposted that. Do you know them? No, and it's like me with my dad's side of the family. Did you see that?
I didn't see that she
like,
posted that, but
I'm gonna make
super
that.
accurate.
I'm gonna make mine because it's accurate. It's like, is that a universal experience that nobody talks to their dad's side of the
A
family?
good amount of people are like that. But anyways, so this became a tradition. So one year, this is like already post me moving out, living on my own, been away for quite a while. I'm not necessarily being helpful, according to her, which I wasn't. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay, but girlie, I'm
But-
not cooking at midnight. I'm sorry.
I was pulling a dad, right? Like I was like, okay, I have champagne in the fridge and orange juice, and you're not letting me eat, so I'm gonna drink. So I poured myself a mimosa, and I'm sitting there at the table drinking. I'm drinking to like minimize the fact that I'm starving, waiting for this stranger to show up so we can have this fucking food to eat. And then I end up accidentally knocking over my mimosa. I don't know how. My mom is furious because she's like, oh my God, you just ruined my table. And I was like, seriously, she goes on to be belligerent and say dumb things. And then I was like, all right, you know what? I'm out of here. Like, fuck this. I don't know why I'm waiting. I don't even know why I'm putting up with this. I'm going to fucking McDonald's. So I like storm off, grab my key, get in the car. I'm like driving to McDonald's, which is literally like 2 minutes away. She is like blowing up my phone. She's like, don't you dare order anything. Don't you dare eat anything. Like, like she wanted us because she had been working all night for this damn lunch and waiting for this man to show up so we could eat. And so she was like, if you do this, like, I'm going to be absolutely like pissed. And I was like, I was already pissed, right? Like I'm starving. So I'm like hangry. So I like drive around the block, basically end up back home. And
You
I
didn't get anything?
I didn't get anything.
I would have gotten McDonald's.
But because my mom, right? Like she was just like,
No, I don't
super
care.
mad, and I didn't want to upset her anymore, but I was upset. So
That's something that we didn't put on the notes that I wanted to touch on, like how people don't eat
breakfast. Yeah. So then it's like you have all these cranky people that are hangry
because you're like hungry. Yeah.
So
And
anyways,
your blood sugar is
that
like all a mess.
1 year after that one blowout, we made it a necessity that a breakfast casserole be made the night before or like morning of.
I'm gonna be for real.
It's not that great, but it does the job and you eat.
Here is my gripe with a breakfast casserole. I hate a breakfast casserole.
I know you do.
I hate a breakfast casserole.
I know you mentioned that. It's basically a quiche.
Exactly.
Think about
It's disgusting.
I love a good quiche.
No. One time.
But I'm going to be real. Like the casseroles we had, not the best.
One time.
We still have to
instead of doing dinner, like my mom invited over my aunts and uncles and then like a cousin and his girlfriend. And it was, I think we were in college and she was like, yeah, we're going to do like a breakfast with them. And then we're going to do like dinner with us, like whatever, right? And I was like, okay. And they came over. My cousin's girlfriend brought a freaking breakfast casserole. And I was like, I have never heard of that. And I'm not eating that. That's disgusting. And I did.
You didn't try it?
No, I put like a little bit on my plate and then I tried it. And I was like, it's so nice.
I think my brother tried to make one that first year. And he put like onions. And I was like, ew, I don't want eggs, like onion in my eggs. Like, it's weird.
To preface this, I'm very picky, but I was going to say, like, when you're in that situation, because I feel like it's the little things that add up during the holidays that make you go absolutely batshit crazy. Mm-hmm. Not getting to eat breakfast or not eating all day until Thanksgiving dinner. So, like, how do you deal with it if, one, you don't have a car? Like, let's say you got home from college. You don't have a car.
Before this, before I was independent, I used to have friends that would like come and pick me up. Christian used to be my escape plan every Thanksgiving. Like I would be like, what are you doing? And he was just around the block. He was about 5 minutes away from my home. So he was always my escape plan. Like I'd be like, hey, what are you doing? Come get me. And we would just like take off and then I'd have him drop me off when things were ready. And that funny. Normally helped. Or like, for example, sometimes it would be like, we'd eat and then I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like my family's crazy or they're going to go do whatever. So like that's my encouragement. I know I put that in the notes too. Like I think people should always have quote unquote an escape plan, right? Whether that's taking a walk around the block with your siblings, your cousins, whatever, whether it's, having a friend on standby, to just kind of come and hang out with you and or take you away from the situation. I think that's important. And or just, if you have the capabilities and you're capable of doing it, take your own car, right? So that you're able to leave when you're ready and get there when you're ready and you're not waiting. Because I think that's another thing, right? People get really irritated around waiting on people or feeling like, I need to leave. It's like your little kid, right? Again, like if you're going to somebody else's house and you're with your parents, you're like, I can't leave until they're ready to go. And, they're just taking forever to say bye.
Yeah.
So it's like irritating because, again, as much control as you can take of the situation and prepare for it.
Bring snacks. Or like prep a breakfast the night before, like yogurt or like fruit or
have
something.
Like an alternative, right? Like for us, like we complained about it, right? But we never like had anything in the fridge or when everything. So then after that big blowout I had with my mom, everyone was like, oh shit, well we definitely have to eat breakfast now. So like every year after that, we always had like
or be the one that's plan. Like, I'm gonna go get breakfast tacos for everyone. Like this is what we're gonna eat.
Right, exactly. That's an awesome plan. Actually,
we should do that this year.
I said write that down.
I know we're not gonna eat breakfast because your family don't be eating breakfast, or they eat breakfast at like 12.
Yeah, like my family in general, and I think we've talked about this in other episodes, like they're just like late eaters. Like they can go a really long time without eating and they don't get irritated. Both my parents have had a gastric bypass, right? Gastric bypass. I said that. Backwards. Yes. They've had a gastric bypass. So like they don't eat much in general anymore. But like they don't get hungry when normal people get hungry. And some of us do. Yeah. It's important for us to like have
like even when we go visit they won't eat breakfast. Like we'll wake up and I'm like
their breakfast starts at like 11:30, 12.
Sometimes they just don't eat. Like
they do brunch.
I'm like, I'm ready to eat. I wake up, I'm ready to eat the moment I wake up. The moment my eyes open to the world, I'm like, I gotta eat.
Which is crazy because like, I don't know, their sleeping schedule is also really off. So
yeah, they go to bed really late. So then I think that has a lot to do with it. But anyways, we digress.
Yeah.
Backup plan.
Backup plan. Another thing that we wanted to kind of touch on is like when things do get out of hand, knowing about when and how to have conversations and setting those boundaries. Because like I think a lot of the times, especially for young adults, people our age, you're seeing your parents or you're seeing people that are a little bit older than you every once in a while. So sometimes they want to bring up conversations that they want to have with you, but they're bringing the conversations up at a terrible time, right? Like not a time to have them. And my mom is the queen of bringing up conversations.
So it's just break.
Sorry.
Mom at Thanksgiving.
I love my mom, but she
loves
is
her.
a handful.
We love our queen, Santaroni.
Yes, Sandaroni, Queen Sandy. But you know, and I've told her this before. It's an ADHD thing as well, right? Like
Yes.
just bursting. It's like saying things that are so out of pocket that you're like, why? But you're just like, it's there, and I have to say it or I'll forget. But I've had a conversation about this, but with her before. It's just like, choose the time and the place, right? Like, you have a serious conversation to have. Like, it's not one to be had when we're in the middle of a Thanksgiving dinner or when we're at breakfast with other family members. Like, sometimes conversations are meant to be had by two people and nobody else around. And she tends to like have these kinds of conversations when other people are around to like give her backup, you know, to be like, confirm what I'm saying.
Did we ever tell that story about that one time we went out to eat?
No.
There was one time we went
I'm
to go
exposing my family so hard. Sorry,
this whole
y'all.
episode is just exposing the family. That we went to go visit her family, and then her mom was like, "Let's all go get breakfast." So we all went to go get breakfast, and we're sitting at this long table because there was like so many people, so many of us, and she just like starts beefing with Bree's brother and sister, just like starts going in on her sister.
And the thing is, like, my siblings will start to like
they're a different generation.
they're combative.
So they react differently.
They're defensive,
Yeah.
right? And they'll come off and they start throwing around like, you know, you want to start talking about the different things on this list. Let's go at
So
it.
the funny part was that like the waiter kept trying to come over and like ask if we needed anything or like drop
Super
things off,
awkward,
and she'd
yeah.
be like, in the middle of like her mom crying, her sister yelling, and then one of her brothers got there late and was like, "What's going on? Why is everyone yelling?"
And that's always the case. Well, that tends to happen a lot of the times that we're together. But anyways, going back to the main topic, which is keep the main thing, right? And if you know, you know. But keeping the main thing is that I think you just need to like have that boundary as like, as soon as something that is very sensitive for you comes up and you're in a like public setting where, you know, other family members or extended family members are there or whatever, is immediately being able to stop the conversation and be like, I appreciate you, I love you, but this isn't the right time to have that conversation, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and talk about what my future plans are, or why I don't have a boyfriend, or
why I gained weight,
or why you want to talk about my weight right now. Like, that's between me and my doctor. But
you want
thanks.
to talk about? That's why it excited me up.
No, seriously. You know, or just like a million other things, and like
we're like
setting those boundaries, right?
setting boundaries, which is really hard depending on your family, because some people will just ignore it.
Right.
Having that escape plan, whether it's a friend, a family member, just going for a walk, going to your room. Like, I was a big one.
But even
with
having
like,
those conversations beforehand, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, knowing that you're going to these, and this is like 100% a time that like it happens, is telling people this ahead of time. Like, I don't want to hear anybody say anything about XYZ. Like, and this might just
my
be like,
it's just pretending I didn't hear, or like straight up ignoring you. Like, I'll just,
Hey,
I'll
I mean,
just
that's a good
pretend that
defensive
like
plan,
you didn't
too.
even, if it's like an extended family member and I can get away with it, I'll just be like, la, blah, la, la, la. And like, most of the time it does work.
just be like, I'm sorry, are you talking to me? I know you're not talking to me about that. Like,
Literally. No, sometimes I just pretend I don't hear. And like, if there's enough people and chatter, you just join another conversation, and like, it is what it is.
yeah, but also like being aware of those triggers. Like, I've tried to like repeatedly explain this to my mom over the years too. Is like, there's certain things we just don't talk about that you shouldn't talk about, especially around this time, because people are already high sensitive. And for you to, you know, everybody has those triggers, and you know these triggers, like everyone knows them. Weight being one of them, right? We just don't, there's no need to talk about it, especially
One
around
time, my uncle called me fat during Thanksgiving, and I was like, I'm done.
especially during a holiday where everybody's fucking stuffing your
eating,
face. Like, that's the whole purpose of it. Like,
Yeah.
like, so yeah, I definitely agree on that piece. It makes me think of like, if anybody ever, or I'm sure many of you guys and listeners have seen The Bear, season 1, I think, where it's, I think they're coming home for Thanksgiving, and it's like super mad chaos, and like, he damn, I don't even know what his name is. Like, his actual name is, no, his name is not Lip in this. Chef, main chef guy.
Yes, chef.
I mean, they call him Bear. Like, that's why the name of the restaurant's called.
Why?
So, I don't know. It's his nickname. So anyways, he's like there, and this is like his first time coming home from like culinary school, and like, it's just chaos. The mom is absolute chaos. She's like belligerently drunk. And then like,
Isn't the mom Jamie Lee
Curtis? Yes.
Spears?
Oh my God. But
There's a
Just made me
scene,
nervous.
okay? There's a scene, and y'all probably have seen it on TikTok if you haven't seen the show, where she's like talking, and then she's like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
"Am I okay? Am I? You're gonna ask me if I'm okay?"
And I'm like, dude, that's literally like it's a boiling pot, bro. And if you just like
just keep the lid on.
yo, yeah, exactly. It's just gonna pop over if you do it. But that scene makes me laugh so hard because I'm like, that's what I feel like every fucking thing. Like that's how I feel like it's gonna happen every Thanksgiving.
Mm.
We've gotten significantly better over the years, especially
Mhm.
as like we're maturing and we're getting older, because now we're able to be like, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not putting up with it.
I think the older you get to, like, well, I would hope that family members also realize, like, sometimes this is like the only time that you have to enjoy each other's company because you don't go home all that often,
Yeah.
or like if you live far or whatever your situation is. So I feel like, at least for us, like it's gotten a little bit better too, because it's like, well, this is the only time that we're going to be together. So
And you need to keep it
do you want to
positive.
fight,
Yeah.
or you want to leave and be happy and you want me to come back? Because if you want to
Right.
fight, I ain't going to come back.
Hey,
next
that's
year.
a PSA for all parents right there, right there. Listen to that.
Also, I'm laughing because I don't know if it's picking up, but Max is snoring up a storm down here on this couch.
I know he's dead asleep.
I'm
No,
like, I
but
don't know
like,
if it'll pick up.
that's a great PSA. I think for
Mhm.
parents, right? Like, keep in mind that this is like maybe the one time that your kids get to come home. Leave it as a positive experience. Like, you want to beef with your kids, or you want to talk lecture, you want to lecture them. Choose a different time to do it.
Because the
Holidays are not
start
the place.
feeling more
Mandatory, more
of a
like
chore, and
Yeah.
like I don't want to do it. Like I stopped liking the holidays, I think, in college, just because like there was just so much going on in general. Like it's finals and it's the end of the semester, and like you just have all of these things that you're trying to wrap up, on top of like I have to also go home, I have to also get gifts, I have to also like
travel.
be in this uncomfortable situation sometimes, depending on where we're at, travel, and then like I'm there and I have to schedule in time for like my family and my friends and yada yada yada. So I feel like for me, that's when like the magic of Christmas just like I was like, there is no magic anymore, and the magic don't exist. Like
The magic do not exist.
and it's taken a really long time for it to like slowly start coming back. And
yeah,
I think, we wrote on our notes, like breaking routine is part of it, especially like when your routine is such a big part of
your daily life.
Yeah, and your mental stability and how you keep up and how you keep yourself healthy. One time we went and spent Christmas at my sister's apartment. She lives in Oklahoma, or not Christmas, Thanksgiving. And I took Max. So that was helpful because I was still waking up and taking him out to use the bathroom and feeding him. But on top of that, Thanksgiving Day, I was like, I'm going to use your apartment gym and I'm going to get a workout in.
Yeah, and that's big too, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're using exercise consistently in your daily routine, like make sure you're still getting exercise,
Mhm.
even if you're traveling and you're going to be like a week at your parents.
And
Now-
it might just be like a walk around the neighborhood. Like
Yeah.
now that I'm at my parents', that's what I do. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm just going to walk around the neighborhood and I'll be back when I'm back.
I set that boundary, I think, last year because now I have the Y membership and there's Ys pretty much everywhere. So I found out there was a Y downtown
for
by
my parents.
Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. No, but there was one downtown and I found that out. So I was like, hey, I'm going to start going to this. And that's helped out a lot because, again, that's an outlet for me now as an adult. I can leave the house without having to explain to somebody where I'm going if I get upset
Yeah.
or whatever. I'm like, I'm going to the gym. And nobody's going to question that because it's a positive thing, right? Like
Mhm.
it's, oh, okay, you're going to make yourself better.
Especially if you're in your own car, you have the ability to get somewhere without needing somebody else.
Yeah.
It can be a lot better to just try and keep your routine. And obviously you're not going to be super stickler to it. Like you're not going to be waking up at the same time every day or going to bed at the same time every day and going to your Pilates classes if you're traveling. But
even a little bit of exercise
A
can
little
make a
bit.
difference.
it definitely helps because it puts you in a better mindset when you're coming back. So you're not as, I'm already irritated because I woke up late or I didn't get a great sleep and I haven't worked out for 3 days and now I'm not eating right and now I just
Yeah.
feel blah.
Like that's another thing for me. Like when I break routine, normally when I'm at my parents, because they sleep really weird hours, I do too. So I'll stay up really late, watch a lot of TV, and like literally not go to bed until like 1, 2, 3 o'clock. And then the next day, I'm expected to wake up, or normally I'll still try and wake up around the same time. And so then the lack of sleep like
It gets
contribute to it. You know, I think in general too, not just breaking routine, but the expense of of all of it, right? Like
The
not just
holidays.
the mental expense, but the actual like financial expense of the holidays can be really triggering for some people, especially for people who are like really adamant about financial stability and like trying to keep above water. Like so many of us realistically, you know, want to impress family members, and that's natural. I think we want to be part of, you know, Secret Santa exchanges, or, you know,
I think about this a lot for people who are like recently out of college or people who are like maybe even like this is my first time having a big girl job or big boy job,
or even in your first time hosting, you know.
Yeah, or like if
having
you
your
just got a
family
house
over.
and this is the first time you're hosting, that can be like a
I mean, not
lot of
even
pressure.
That. Like that was one of the things that also changed the holidays. Our first year out of college, like my family spent Thanksgiving in our tiny 2-bedroom apartment because we had a wedding, a family wedding the day after Thanksgiving, and that was just a mess because you're in a small space, smaller than what you're used to. It doesn't feel homey. It's just like, ugh, this isn't fun.
Don't have enough room to breathe, basically.
Yeah. So I mean, like you can feel awkward or like, oh, this isn't great. This isn't what I grew up with, or maybe, you know, whatever. So yeah, it gets in your head a little bit. Yeah.
I don't know. I think just my word of advice for people who are either just straight out of college and, you know, maybe your family members are expecting more of you, or you just got your first job and people are expecting more of you. Don't think so much about what other people are expecting about you. Set your budget, know what you want to spend, stick to it. Know that it's okay if you're not able to provide, you know, extravagant gifts or participate in some of these things. Like, that's okay. I think just being upfront about it from the beginning and just saying, like, I'm not participating this year for multiple reasons, or, you know, I'm saving up to do other stuff. Some people might look down on it, even question it, but I think it's part of that setting the boundaries, right? The one thing that I don't want people to do, or like, you know, is that you go out of the way to like spend all this money during Christmas and you get to January and you start the year off in a financial deficit where you're like, fuck, like I'm in so much debt.
Yeah.
Because that does happen. And I've done it. Like I'm guilty of it. Like I'm like, let me spend all this money, and then come January, you're like, why did I do that?
Right. And just setting that boundary up front, like, hey guys, everybody's getting a smaller gift this year because I wanted to be able to get everybody something.
So like we started doing Secret Santa, so we didn't have to buy everybody gifts, because that's my family. My mom wants pretty big, and we always do an extended family. So it's like, it's kind of weird to show up and not get somebody
I was
everything.
Gonna say that was something I struggled with when I got older, because when we were younger, my mom was she still is in charge of like getting our extended family the gifts, and it would be like, it's from the family.
Yeah, put everybody's name on it. Yeah.
And now I don't get my extended family gifts, because I mean, I'm like, I'm not gonna go and get every single one of my aunt and uncles or cousins or brothers or sisters or whatever, like significant others and then their kids gifts. It's just, I mean,
it can get pretty pricey, because I think about it now, and it's like your family continues to grow, right? Now we have a nephew. We've had now additional cousins been born in the last few years. And then now we have all of my siblings' partners. I'm like, it would be crazy if I had to get every single one of those people a gift. Like our Christmas photo from last year was absolutely insane. It was absolutely insane. Like to think that I would have to get every single one of those people a gift. It's
so, I mean, Secret Santa's a good option. I was going to say
white elephant or something. A
white elephant. We do that too. Or just like going small and saying like, everybody's going to get a really small gift this year, and that's what I'm going to get everybody, because I want to be able to get everybody stuff. So like stocking stuffer kind of like gifts. I've done that in the past. I'm like, well, everybody's getting one thing, and it might be tiny, but it's one thing.
That's the other thing. I think a lot of people stick to tradition sometimes because that's just what you're used to. As we get older and we're like in our 20s and 30s, I think it's important for us to start setting new traditions and new expectations for ourselves. Some of the things that our families do or did previously, like it just doesn't fit anymore, right? It doesn't fit the situation. It doesn't fit. Like I think about it now for all of us for this upcoming Thanksgiving. Now we're doing Thanksgiving with it's still kind of extended family, but it's like more the immediate family plus a few people. And to me, that's more realistic than for us to continue to do like an extended family Thanksgiving, or I mean, I think for Christmas, we're still doing extended, but not every holiday is meant to be that way.
And I think that's also goes to my point of like, not every single year is going to look the same. Like there might be some holidays where you don't spend it maybe at your parents' house, or you don't even go home because you might not get the time off, or, you know, whatever the case may be. And you have to, as you get older, like accept that and know that it's okay. It's okay if it doesn't look the exact same as last year, and it might not look the exact same as next year or the year after that, because just everything's evolving as you go. You know, people have kids, people get married, people move, and it's just unrealistic for us to think everything's going to look the same. Like I would love if we could go back to our childhood home and spend Christmas the exact same way with my stockings on the, you know,
the mantle.
mantle and whatever, but that's just not realistic, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I think about it that like for us, we used to go to Mexico
Mhm.
every Christmas. It used to be like my mom used to pack up a gift of a trash bag of all these toys. She never really wrapped them until we got there, and then she would wrap them when we got there. We used to literally travel there and be there for like 2-3 weeks. And as we got older, my mom like still expected that. Like even while we were in college and like doing other stuff,
And
working,
it's like it's just unrealistic.
and she would be like, "But we always go," and I'm
Mhm.
like, "That's not realistic for us anymore, though. Like we have other priorities during Christmas. Like, you know, there's other things going on or other things we want to try to do during Christmas." And it finally hit her, I think, at some point that it just wasn't going to continue to work that way.
Yeah.
So she still travels most of the time down there, and she'll like spend a couple weeks down there or a week. And then we figured out like, let's do a tradition where we celebrate Christmas a little bit earlier so that we still get to do Christmas together, right? Quote unquote, or Christmas traditions together. We end up doing it whatever we need to separately. So
Mhm.
that's kind of how we've managed these last few years as we got older, because we still kind of want to see each other, but we understand that it's not realistic to expect all of us to be together. So last Christmas, I actually spent it here at home by myself, and
You
it
were
was
not by yourself. Don't get it twisted.
What do you mean? But I was by myself, and
She was not by
technically
yourself.
with no family. Okay, I spent it here, and it was actually really relaxing. So I was able to take time to start a new project. I started building our patio in the back.
Mhm.
We had just moved into our house in
Mhm.
October, so it was kind of a
She
nice
was with the
reset.
dogs, like.
Okay,
No,
relax.
I'm just saying, like, you weren't by yourself.
I wasn't 100% by myself. The ghosts were here. No, I stayed here with the dogs because we also couldn't travel with the dogs. We
Mhm.
didn't have the funds to put them into doggy daycare.
Or have someone watch them at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't seem realistic for me to travel at the time either. So I stayed home and I just spent a lot of time like self-reflecting, doing some new projects, and actually it was like really good for me. Like it was a good reset. I was able to like really just focus on things that I had been wanting to do for a really long time, but just like didn't have the time to start. I enjoyed it. Like I
Yeah.
feel like it was one of those things that I just kind of had to accept that this was the best thing to do for myself rather
Mhm.
than stress myself out trying to afford to put them in doggy daycare or
Find a sitter last minute or whatever.
or travel to Mexico, right? Because like I had also stressed myself out previously where because my mom would go and it sounded like a great idea. Like who wouldn't want to go? You know, we have our own home there. It's a very, in my opinion, like cheap travel that I get to do every year. But it was the chaos of like traveling with family and not being in control of when I could come back home and then maybe being late to getting back to work and missing days of work and all of that chaos just like wasn't worth it. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, I ended up being more stressed over the holidays than actually enjoying them.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. I think the holidays make them work for you. Like, don't stress yourself out even more because they're already stressful enough. And like going back to expenses, sometimes it's about boundaries, and sometimes you can't always afford to travel to your family.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can, and sometimes if you want to splurge and get like a hotel room, and it's okay to not stay with your family. So there's like two edges to that. But I think, just saying that and not letting, you're gonna feel guilty, but just saying like, this year that's what's best for me is not spending the money and going, but next year I'm happy to be there and hopefully I'll be able to spend holidays with you, or I'll see you guys whenever, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I think you have to learn that, and you have to like learn to put up those boundaries, because if you make it where you feel like the need to do that, it just stresses you out even more.
And like you said, it's a chore at that
it's a
point.
chore,
It's not fun. It's not enjoyable.
And it's already a stressful time. Like, not only do you have to get gifts, but there's things happening at work, there's things happening at school, there's just like way too much going on during that time that it's like we're trying to finish up the year. Like, it's already
some people
a
just
lot.
don't even get enough time off, right?
Yeah.
Around the holidays, depending on where you work.
Yeah.
Like, for example, my brother, like he works in retail right now, and
He doesn't have the Thanksgiving off.
He
Or
doesn't
Black
have-
Friday.
yeah, so he's expected to work on Black
Mhm.
Friday. That means he can't leave, the general vicinity of where he lives because he still has to make it to work the next day, which is
Right.
absolutely insane. But I understand it, right? Because that's what he needs, and it's what he has to get done. So
And I think when it comes to the money aspect of it, like knowing your own boundaries and when to put those up, whether you're, maybe renting a place this year with your family and saying like it's going to be split this many ways,
all right.
just knowing when to say no, not feeling like you have to put up extra money because maybe some people can't afford it. Or even like I always think about my sister for the first like 3 years after we graduated was like, what are we getting, mom? And I was like, by the way, if
Not
you're
the
listening, you owe me money for those last 3 gifts. Just saying. Just saying, I never got that Venmo.
I feel that as an oldest sibling because I, for a really long time, like used to buy the gifts
Yeah.
and just put like all of our names on it.
And I finally had
And
to
now
be
I'm
like,
like,
I'm getting
I'll take a
mom
backseat.
my own gift. You are going to go ahead and do your own thing because I'm not going to be like, you owe me this. Because then it just causes more, like, now I'm annoyed because you didn't send me my $30, girl. Like, or whatever, right?
You gotta send that up front. Sorry.
So just even setting those boundaries ahead of time and saying, I'm doing my own thing. And it's not because I'm trying to be rude. It's just because this is how it has to be. It's easier for me and it's less stress on all of us. So you can do whatever you need to do, but I'm going to do what I'm going to do what I need to do.
And you're gonna. I don't even know what the next steps. I suck at remembering these things.
I was going to close out with, just kind of reminding everybody that the holidays are also a break. This time of the year feels really stressful. A couple of years ago, I started spending New Year's by myself or just like back here at the house because one, the dogs, like they stress out during fireworks and all of that.
Mhm.
And two, like I just felt like it was a lot of time to be somewhere else and like out of my routine.
Especially back to back, right? Like we
Right.
did Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then you have New Year's.
So I started coming back and doing like New Year's Eve, we vision board and like put on a nice movie. And it's a very peaceful time, or at least it has been. And so
Chilling in the New Year.
just knowing that like you have that option, but also just remembering that the holidays are also a break. A lot of the times we don't get a summer break like we used to in school. And so even if you're not traveling home, taking that time for you and taking that time to say like, it's okay to say no. It's okay to rest. It's okay to leave early. And it's even just okay to like not go,
Yeah.
So,
If you don't want to go home,
Right.
like don't feel forced to. Home for the holidays can mean something different for you and for a lot of people. I'll say this just in general, like some people have really traumatic relationships with family, and it's
Mhm.
okay to say no and not show up and choose a chosen family, which
Mm.
we've decided to do over the years occasionally because it's just what we
It's
need.
easy.
Because it's not only easier, but sometimes it's what you deserve too, right? To just enjoy a non-chaotic Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, whatever it may be. We encourage everybody to find their chosen family. As always, this is a safe space, and we want to remind you that no matter where you choose to spend the holidays, you're not doing it wrong.
Yeah. Follow us on Instagram. The YouTube videos are also being posted now. So follow us on there. And like I mentioned last episode, if you'd like to support the show, there's a link in the show notes. We appreciate all of it goes back to the production of the show and being able to continue it on. And then hopefully our next episode will be our first book club episode if I finish the book.
I said Allie's got to read over the holidays. She's got homework.
We will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye, guys. See you next time.